your house is so beautiful. And I thought, she lives in the same building, the same view, but there must be something that feels good to her. And I really feel like, you know, I'm so grateful that I think we have quite a good energy at home. Please subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay tuned to the latest updates at the Powder Room Talk.
Hello, I'm JJ Liu. Welcome to the Powder Room with me and my girlfriends, Viola Mananta and Regina Wijaya. Today, this is how we're going to get real at the Powder Room because we want to ask a question. Do you live in a house or do you live in a home? I know this might sound a little bit confusing, but essentially we want to talk about what are the important elements in creating a real home.
We are very delighted to have Dewi Joesoef with us today. She is somebody that we all respect and look up to. Currently, Dewi is the Community Director and Head of Care and Counsel at the Collective. Meanwhile, she's also an interior consultant and launched Ruma Living during the pandemic, which includes her new coffee table book, Journey of the Home. The book delves into both aesthetics and the elements of creating a loving and beautiful home, combining both her passions in interiors and helping people find wholeness and restoration in every area of their life. I believe we're going to have a wonderful time together at the Powder Room Talks. So well, come on in.
Welcome to the Powder Room.
So happy to have you here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having
Yes,
me.
so I'm so happy that you're here today, really. Because I've known Dewi for a few years now. We met in church, and I don't know, I never told you that probably, but you've always been a great inspiration for me. And there were times when I actually called Dewi and I'm like, Dewi, I don't know what to do. Can you please come and help me? Because you have such a big heart and such a, you know, you just have real wisdom. And if I need a good opinion and not just someone who wants to make me feel good, I would ask you. And I'm really grateful for that. And so we're really excited to have you here today because today we actually, we want to go into talking about how to create a home. And we got inspired by that because you just launched a book called Ruma, right? And it's about interior design because you're an interior designer or you're an interior consultant nowadays. But it's so much more than just an interior design book because there's so many already. But you really put your heart into this and you really want to go into the inner beauty of a house, how to create a home. And so today we're going to talk about this and it's going to be very exciting.
It's going to be awesome as well. Yes. So ladies, but before we start, as usual, thank you Lola for preparing this beautiful cheese platters. So today we have many delectable choices to enjoy. I am very excited about trying the variety of local artisan cheese, preserves, and pâté. We want to thank Moon River Dairy for the Amaya and Anagata cheese sent to us, and of course Olives and Jill for their fresh fig preserves and pork liver pâté. So while we're having our discussion about building a home, let's have a good time in the dining room with food and Sauvignon Blanc from a winery that JJ enjoys.
Actually, I can't wait, Dewi, to ask you about your book. And, so the title is Ruma, but R-U-M-A, right?
The title that's actually the name of the company, but then my interior company. But then the book title is actually the journey of a home.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is the motivation behind it? How did you come up with it?
So actually, the book is just an extension of who I am, and it's also an extension of the values that I believe in. I have a deep love for family, so it's always been in my heart that when we started a family, my husband and I, that I wanted to make sure that our home is always a place of where I create ambience of love and warmth for my husband and my children, right? And so the book is really just a documentation of the journey of my family and my home, right? Why interiors? Because, well, actually interior decoration started as a hobby on my journey, and it has evolved into me becoming an interior consultant right now. I write about that part of the journey as well in my book, you know, so how I started as a hobby, what I started creating at home, you know, when the kids were at school, and how it evolved into a business, how it got into projects, and then, you know, how I'm a consultant now. And I think I wanted to add that part in the book as well, because I believe that women can do both. They can raise a home, raise a family, but they can also build something for themselves, right? And so, so actually it's just really, the book is a combination of my family, my journey, and of our home, but also the interior spaces that I have created on that journey.
I can't wait actually for you guys to see the book and me, because I've been to Dewi's house a few months ago, just once, and it really left an impression on me. Not just because it was insanely beautiful, and there were so many spaces of where you could just come together and talk. I think it's really, you really planned your house around, you know, like being social and spending time together. And I can't remember a TV there. I think it was all set up to, you know, like for conversation. And yeah, I just, not just was it absolutely beautiful, but I really felt welcome, and you created this atmosphere of, it was a really good energy in your house, really.
Thank you, Viola.
Yeah. And so I can't hear today how you're gonna, you know, how you're gonna explain to us what that looks like, how it's done, because it's not just about putting beautiful things together, right?
But we can read some. You can read some excerpt from the
introduction. So just to make it more clear what the motivation is. So it has been a dream of mine for more than a decade to make an interior coffee table book. I always thought it would turn out to be a beautiful picture book displaying creations of my designs and finished interior work projects, like so many we can buy in different bookstores or online. When I turned 50, I discovered a love to encourage and inspire younger women in different aspects of life. There is a certain kind of freedom, being able to share my experience of life in an authentic way, by being able to be vulnerable about my mistakes and challenging times that have shaped me into the woman that I am today. Life can often be difficult, and social media can make others think that my life is somehow perfect. But those who really know me know that my life has been quite a roller coaster ride. Times where life was beautiful and full of harmony in every way, and other seasons where life was extremely hard. So every decade of my life has a story to tell and lesson taught. It is in the difficult times true solid character is built, and beautiful character on the inside is the true beauty of a woman. And a house can only be beautiful when true beauty is found within its walls.
Wow.
So beautiful. Yeah.
It's not about the book, only about interior design that you can buy in a bookshop. But it's about inspiring young women, maybe like inspiring us, which also consider myself young. Young women to stand true to your inner beauty, like, you know, this is how you're gonna build your family. That is how I get from this. How despite that, how the tough situations build your character. I think there is so strong words over there, like, you know, life is a roller coaster. Nothing
I
is,
like that too.
you know, nothing is always smooth. It's not like you're always going up. There will be times when you're going down. And how those difficult times shape your character as a woman, and how you bring it up in your home.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I've been married for like around 9 years. And we've actually moved houses like 3 times, right? And right now, or for the past 5 years, we live in this space that is, we didn't do anything to it. When we came in, we're like, okay, we have 2 toddlers, or the next one was coming, you know, it was about to, it was planned. And we thought, oh, if we put designer furniture into this place and make it really nice, they're just gonna destroy it. Right?
Yeah.
They don't know how to
Yeah.
take care of a white sofa or the chairs.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So for the past 5 years, we've been living on this really basic furniture, and I'm almost a bit embarrassed about how basic it is, even though we live in a really beautiful apartment. I really think it's a beautiful space, and I'm really grateful. But so I was always a little bit embarrassed. But then there were moments when, for example, our neighbor kid would come for the first time, and she came in and she'd be like, "Wow, your house is so beautiful." And I thought, she lives in the same building, the same view, but there must be something that feels
Yeah.
good to her. And I really feel like, I'm so grateful that I think we have quite a good energy at home. And it wasn't always like that, obviously. I mean, when you have hard times with, in family, when you have fights with your husband or things are not going so well, the energy might shift.
Yeah.
And it actually might make you, like uncomfortable, or you feel that energy. People, when they come in, they could probably feel the tension or the heaviness, right? And I'm just, looking back and thinking about it, I'm like, I'm actually okay that the furniture was really basic for the past 5 years. But I know there was always a good energy in the house, and we would love to have guests, and they would come in and feel at home, and the neighbor kids feel at home, and that's maybe that's the inner beauty, right? And so, but yeah, honestly, that's maybe the bigger work than just the interior design,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
That's why it's a very good discussion to talk about. It's like, what makes a house a home? What's the difference does it make? A house. People always say a house is just a building. A home is the people living inside.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Yeah.
so important. So what makes a house a home? For me, I never had the most beautiful things at home. I mean, my house is pretty basic. I don't think my parents have a taste of interior design. For sure. I mean, for them at that time, it's like, I have a house for my children to grow up, and it's a decent house. I don't need the fancy stuff, but everybody is happy. But I must say that I love my home. I mean, I love my family. My parents, they did such a great work to make people feel welcome. Last time when I was young, I didn't like people come to my house because I felt my house is ugly. And really, I don't like taking guests. I don't like having guests at my home because I feel like, oh, my house is so basic. Like, my friends are all so rich. But then whenever people come to my house, they always tell me like, your parents are so nice, your dad are so fun to be with, he's so warm, your mom is so nice. And then I realized I always miss home whenever I travel. It's not because I miss the house, because sometimes I really want to like renovate the house. But then I really miss the home. I miss who is inside the house.
Actually, I really think that was, we've already got some interesting points going on there. And, coming back to the question of what's the difference between a house and a home? I mean, Dewi, you're mixed, and also with, you're a person with a lot of taste and aesthetics. How does that translate into your home?
I think it's like I was saying, I think it's a journey, right? In that journey we grow. Life grows us in character, right?
Yeah.
Experiences grow us in character. And I think what I've grown into the most, JJ, is that without love, you can't really have a home. So I think everything in our home, in our house is all about creating that environment of where people feel loved, where my husband feels loved, Okay, like sometimes, you're married for a long time, you can have fights and all that, right? But we will always come back to loving each other and I think a home, because when you look at a house, people think of aesthetics.
Yes.
They think about filling it with expensive things, and the more they put in, the more expensive things they put in, they think like the house will be even more wow, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a wrong perception, because a home is, the difference between a house and a home is that a house can look beautiful, and that's okay, but I think, and I love that because I'm into interiors, but it's so much more important that you build a home inside the house where love resides, because I think when a home is filled with love, it creates that warmth, it creates that acceptance, and I believe a home is a place where you grow in friendship with your children. You know, you build relationship with your children. You grow in knowing each other more between man and wife, right? You grow in friendship with your spouse. You build a home that offers hospitality to your close friends and your extended family, you know, to come in and just build friendship as well. So home is also for me a place where you create a place of safety for your children. You know, I think it's all that package, and I think it's all about, as a family, what are your values? What do you want? What do you want your home to stand for? And I think in our home, it's really love. You know, it's just that acceptance as you know. Yes, we might fight, we might have quarrels. You know, we might disagree about different things. We might maybe misunderstandings, but we always come back. That love always ties us back together as a family. And so, I think for me, that's the biggest value, is that love.
As you're speaking and sharing, it really makes me think about, you know, things that was coming up to my head is, you know, the exact same moments where when I go to someone's home, like I visit a friend or it's a family friend, of course there are some friends with very impressive, beautiful homes, but the ones that really leave a mark on my memories is exactly as what you say, you know, the love that I felt there, the joy that I felt there, the hospitality that I, you know, received, and it's that whole, you know, the personality inside the homes, the homeowners, and just the way they are and how, you know, their home, how they actually, even the way they show hospitality, it's in the little touches. And it's, again, not, of course, you know, we are all girls, we love beautiful things. It's in that expression. And I think you can really see when somebody is really genuinely doing something out of love, whether it's cooking you a meal in their home and inviting you to have tea. That heart that they put into the little pieces, whether it's a throw or it's a cushion, the colors that they pick, it's such a reflection. And I think like every family has their stories, and it is those, you know, homes that when I go into it, and I feel like they're inviting me to understand a part of their stories. And those are the homes that always leave, like, you know, the most longing mark. And I'll be like, oh, you know, I miss going to that person's house. I really enjoy being in that person's home. And it's really, like you said, those relationships that we build, how that, the aura, if we could say, the energy that when you're in that space, and I really think that really differentiates, without like saying, oh, it's not good to have beautiful things. No, they create atmosphere, but I think, like, you know, things are still inanimate, right? Like, it requires that, I think even as we're sharing this meal right now, it's like, it's us bringing our energy and building relationships and friendships into this setting that makes it, I think, would make it memorable for me and remember this moment.
And I think we'll be here for hours.
The wine, for sure.
It's really interesting how you said that you used to go to your friends' houses and you had those impressions, because my best friend once shared with me how she would always come to our home, like my parents and mine, and she just loved to sit with us at the kitchen table, which was simple. It was just a table in the kitchen, and there would be something to eat, even if it's just, I don't know, something super simple, whatever you can find, right? And maybe someone's making a tea or whatever, like simple things, right? And just the fact that whoever would walk into the kitchen would stay for a while and have a chat and being interested in each other's life and just that atmosphere. She said she was always so fascinated, and she always wanted that for herself, but in her family it wasn't like that, right? And so what I'm wondering is like, if you don't come from a background like that, and you might see it in other people's homes, but how can you learn to create a place like that once you get married and you have your own home? How do you actually work on creating this culture in your own house, even if you've never had the background yourself, but you've seen it and somewhere else, and you wanna have that in your own culture? How do you actually do that? You know, that was what I was wondering. How can people achieve that?
I think people can be the changers in their generation. So for example, if your friend didn't come from that healthy, loving family background, she can be the first one in her generation to create that. You know, she can learn from what she missed out on a kid, what she saw in your family, and then she can say, I want to build that when I get married and have my own family, you know. And so I think every family has their own values, Viola, and I love that, because I think every family should be unique. You know, I think your family will look different than mine, you know, and mine will look different than yours, Viola, but I think every family can look so unique, and I think it's what the husband and the wife, when they come together, they can say like, so what do we want our family to look like, right? So maybe you're saying, this is what I love about my family growing up, and then maybe Daniel would say like, I love this about my family.
Very different probably.
Yeah, very different, but there might be some good, and there's always
in
good.
In fact, that we actually had conversations about that, and we realized that we had to do that. From his background, from my background, I think he's Chinese Indonesian, I'm German. Of course, we come from different backgrounds. But even if we wouldn't come from different cultures,
It'll be still
like I feel everyone who comes from two different families has absolutely different cultures, right? And so for everyone, there's a challenge to bring that together and find a common ground and find is it called third culture? You know, like his culture, my culture, but we pick the best of both and we leave the stuff that we don't like, we just discard that, right?
I mean, even in the same home or the same family, like I come from a family of 3 sisters, and like, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, every family has its story. I wouldn't exactly say, oh, I have an unhealthy family. No, I don't. Like with every family, we have our fights. You know, fair share of everything. But my parents came to Indonesia. I wasn't raised. You know, my parents only moved me here when I was turning 12, going on 13. And by that time, the only reason I got moved to Jakarta was they started sending all my siblings, I'm the youngest of 4, started sending them off to America, to boarding school. Then they realized, oh wait,
there's another one.
The house is empty. Maybe we should stop flying back every weekend from Jakarta to Singapore to be with the kids, because now there's only one. Let's move the kid to Jakarta. And so I was always that child waiting to be like, oh, it's gonna come, my turn's gonna come, and I'm gonna go to boarding school in America too. And then it's like, that never happened. And to be honest, when I moved to Jakarta was the first time I actually really ever lived with my parents, because they would only come home on the weekends. And I think like that was the way my parents showed their love and commitment to their children. Their business was here. No matter how tired they are, they would always fly back home every week. And that's why my mom has like a bit of an ear problem, because over the years, every week from the ear pressure. But when she comes back to Singapore, you know, there would be a whole family routine where it's like we go to the supermarket with her, and then we will cook together with her, and like, and everybody has to participate to set the table, and you know, that, you know, mothers, everybody always miss, you know, mothers that cook, you know, and they'll be like, you know, it's that family moment. And when my parents moved me here, I think one thing that I personally had to adjust, because I was still a growing child, I was a teen, it was complete culture shock, where I realized, oh, you know, that weekend thing is not a everyday thing, because that was the only way, you know, up until I was 12, that was the only thing I ever experienced with my parents. I never knew that, oh, there are off days where you're probably also going to witness your parents fight, because I didn't. I lived the weekend life, you know, up until I was 12 to 13, and I moved here. And then I started realizing, I was like, oh, things are different Monday to Friday. You don't get that anymore. You know, it's not like fun every day, cooking meal every day. Oh, mom and dad actually, they do work, and, you know, and they're not always home. And it was just so many things coming. And these are the stories in my home. And so like, I started, they put me into international school, and I started making friends. And it's that point, like, you know, I wanted to ask, like, were there moments where you know somebody that doesn't want to go home because it's either empty or there's energy that they don't want? Because there was a phase in my whole like growing up teen life where I didn't want to go home, because I knew going home meant there's nobody there. And I became like the adopted child in every single like of my best friend's home. I became so much a big part of their family And so I enjoyed serving, and I guess that's where I build my culture of like, I want to put platters like this together. I'm very particular about table setting and all that because it's slightly different from my family culture, right? And I think it's that when there was a moment where I didn't want to go home because I was like, why would I want to go home? There's nobody at home.
Yeah.
It's just my parents had a beautiful home then, and it was just so gigantuan. I was the only child in that home, and they'll work really late hours. I just never. And when people come, like friends will come over to the house, they'll be like, "Wow, your parents such a beautiful home. It's like a hotel." And I was like, "Oh, I don't like coming home. I want to go to your house. It's more fun there because your mom, some of my friends, their moms are not working moms, right? And their mom's always like, oh, JJ's here. She's always hungry. We need to have food in the house. She's visiting. You gotta feed her. That's my personal experience. I was wondering, like, if you experienced that where somebody didn't want to go home because it was that setting.
I think I'm lucky enough or blessed enough in a way to have such a wonderful family. We may not have the most expensive stuff in the world. Like even the current house that we have is very small, and my parents are sick. Both mom is sick, dad is okay. But I love them. I mean, I used to study overseas as well, but I can't wait to come home. There's a moment you feel like, okay, I want a holiday for 3 weeks. Normally after 15 days, I start to like, I miss home. I miss going back home, sleeping in my own bed, and meeting with my parents, having dinner with them. So for me, I never experienced that, but I know there are some people who do not like to go home, just because it's so cold for them.
I never experienced it in the own home that I built with my husband and children, but there was a time when my parents were separated for 2 years. And so every time I would go back to Germany, I did not want to go home because my dad was living in the house and my mom was living in another apartment, right? And it was awful coming back to that house that I grew up in, and I would step in and I'm like, love doesn't live here.
Wow.
Right? It was just cold. Even though, it might have been cluttered, but that wasn't it. There was just, there was something else that was missing, and it was not something visible, obviously. It was absolutely the void of love and the void of nurturing, and it was, and so I think it was just, the mother was missing, the wife was missing, and I do believe, I'm not sure, but I think honestly, mostly the love and the nurturing and that feeling comes from the female side. I've never been to a man's house who lives alone, who has that
touch,
that feel of nurturing, right? And that's why they call it like the bachelor pad or whatever.
I was going to mention
it always feels cold. Like it always feels cold, right? And so I would step into my parents' house when I would come home, and it would feel cold. And I literally couldn't stay there, even though my dad said, "Please stay here." And I'm like, I can't stay here. This is not, doesn't feel right. I wouldn't be able to sleep properly. So I would stay in my aunt's house, which was, for me at the time, that was really such a blessing because my aunt was always an inspiration to me. She has like that touch, that soul, the love and the peace in her house. And so there was like a safe haven for about those 2.5 years every time I would go back to Germany. And then, fortunately, my parents, they made peace and they found each other on a new level again. And so after 2.5 years, they actually got back together, and when I met them, I was like, wow, there is more love than before. Wow. There was more, right? And when I haven't been home yet since they're like moved back together, but I'm sure like ever since my mom moved back in, even on Skype when I see it, or not Skype, when I see it on WhatsApp video call or or FaceTime, I can already see how the life is back in the house, the warmth and just life is happening again there, and so it really makes all the difference if the relationships in the house are actually functioning.
That's right.
If they want to work on themselves and figure things out together.
Yeah. Maybe you had a difficult past, like maybe you didn't love your home before, but I wish in the new home that you are going to build in the future, you know the good things that you want to put inside your house or inside your home for your children, for your family. Even if you're not married, even if you don't have children, you can always welcome other people to come. I love going to JJ's house because
Me too.
I'm coming soon.
Yeah.
Please, you're more than
well fed, food all over, and I think
Wine.
Yes, and wine too.
and wine too.
It's wine, yes.
I really think it's important, even though if you are single, you can always showing other people what love is.
Yeah.
I think that is important, and no matter how hard your past, maybe you didn't grow up in such a loving family, and sometimes you envy or you look at, like you mentioned, you look at other people, but that's what inspires you, right?
Yeah.
You want to build that kind of home.
Yeah.
That you want your children one day want to come back home and say, I love my home. No matter how cluttered it is, I still love my home.
I actually have a joke when you mentioned like the bachelor pad. So I have two little stories to tell. He's one of my close guy mate, and OCD, very neat, very rare breed, very neat person, clean. But then it was how I would describe. It wasn't that he had no taste. It was sterile. It was very practical, like, banker-like. And then he met the love of his life, who she had a lot of taste. She was an interior, but then before he met her, we would always we move around friends' house to have like our potluck and cookout. And the moment he started dating her, and they were already engaged, and they were preparing then they got married, and obviously she moved in officially. There's like 3 girls in this like gang, and the 3 of us were like, wow. The touch of a woman is here. And it's the same exact house. His DNA is still there, but you see that love and admiration he has for his wife. He would start saying, so she would do this. You see that's by her. And then my cookbook, because he's a great cook too, right? Both of them, she's great at setting the table, and he's great at cooking. And so he's like, so she got this stand, and we got this. See, she got all that taste. She added her touches everywhere that allowed her to translate her genius and her beauty and her love into the home. Yeah. That the husband is like, she's so proud of their space, right? Yeah. And then, another little tidbit is like about me. I had a previous imba, and she was really, really cute. And she herself got inspired, so she was saving up because she was trying to build a home for her children. And so one day she was, we were just, I'm a little bit of OCD too. I like cleaning. And then she was like, we're bringing down my stash. And then so she was like, Miss JJ, if you get married one day, you don't need, I guess she didn't know how to say registry. You don't need people to buy you gifts. You bought everything for yourself already. It's like you have this plate, you have this skillet, everything. He's like, what's all this? I was like, I don't know. She's like, is this for your future home? And I never thought about it. It was just like, I couldn't, because I'm still living with my parents. And there were moments where I could actually translate my touch. Like if you come to my home, from China or whatever, it's all my parents, right? Yeah. But I still love it because it's their DNA, and I'm still proud of my house. But now that we're having this conversation, I'm thinking, I really wonder how my own home would be like when I have one and when I build one.
I'm also thinking about that too. Like, okay, what kind of home that I'm going to build in the future?
Yeah, I think that's something definitely to discuss with your future husband.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 people coming.
We're looking at each other.
I know, we're like,
right? It's 2 people coming together and taking the best from each other's cultures and upbringing, and then fusing that into something that's just going to be your own for your own family. And I think that's where the beauty lies. And that will make your family so unique, right? Yeah. And I think every family is really unique and beautiful in its own way. And I love that you said you have your parents' china. I love that in my house because it's something that's handed down from generation. I speak about that in the book as well. Wow. Those are actually beautiful things to have in your home because one day when your parents are not there anymore,
Yeah.
every time you use the china, you think about them, you know. So it's something I touch on the book as well. Yeah.
I have a funny question to ask the two beautiful moms at our table to help the two clueless. How do you arrive at a healthy consensus with your spouse and in creating
Or how to build that kind of love.
yeah, that
in
love
the-
that you're talking
There must
about.
be
How do
some
you
tips and
bring that
tricks.
into a home that when I
Spill it.
walk in
Spill.
or someone walk in, they're like, I want to be here. I love this place.
I want to be like them.
I think, you know, what we already said was that the relationship between the people has to be good, right? So you have
Yeah.
to start building healthy relationships. And there is a few things that you can absolutely consciously do to build healthy relationships. Like, let's say with your husband, right? So we really work hard on this at home, right? Daniel and I, we always plan a date night per week. It just has to happen, because if we don't have healthy conversations and you know, just the two of us have this time together where we talk heart to heart, if not at least once a week, then we will kind of drift apart, and there will be so many things unspoken that can build up, and then you can hold grudges against each other because you never spoke things out when it was actually the time to do so. So practically, I think date nights are absolutely helpful in creating a good relationship with your husband.
Okay.
Yeah. But you have to really put it in your schedule, you know, don't just say, oh yeah, next week, and then you never really plan it. We really plan it. We plan it always, like on every weekend we plan the date night of the next week, and so we always work on that. And I think other things that we do is meal times with the kids together. You know, we always have breakfast together. I mean, almost always. There's always an exception to the rule, but we always try to have as many breakfasts together with the children, or meal times, dinner, putting them to bed together and reading them stories. It's those tiny things that create a family culture. And it's something to always look forward to. So it's kind of predictability, and you can look forward to it, and it brings you joy. And it's also nice for the children because they know, oh, tonight mommy's gonna read me a story, or oh, on Saturday it's pancake day, and we're gonna have pancakes together. They know when it's Saturday because there's no school, right? So they're like, it's pancake day, and I used to be the one always making the pancakes, the German style pancakes, and now that Mila is 8, she started making the pancakes, and Noah will be the one standing next to her, always lifting the cloth off the plate when she's done doing another pancake, and it's become. It's a family culture, right? Everyone, it's involved. It's also empowering for them to be able to do something by themselves and together, and so it's something that you can create.
Yeah.
But every family, I think, will create a different culture. It might be you wrap dumplings once a week or once a month. You know, like there might be a special dumpling day that
We do when we're young. We do do you know the onde?
Yeah.
You know, the glutinous rice. Yeah.
Did you do that regularly? Was there a special day when
Special
you were
day, but I always sit down with my mom, and then you know we together we make that glutinous rice. So it's like a culture.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
yeah.
a family culture that you're doing that.
What about you, Dewi?
Well, my kids are grown, but we did practically a lot of the same thing that you do with Daniel. We went on date nights, and we had our special culture and traditions that we did with the kids. Like Sundays, we would eat outside, you know, and try different restaurants. So we wanted to introduce our kids to the different cuisines. But Saturdays, we're always, because I'm very much a nature person, so we're always out in the garden. We could be in the pool the whole day with the kids and just, you know, and just, okay, let's get out from the pool just to eat and then back again, you know. So my kids always came home with dirty hands and, inside the house because they were just, I love for them to be out in nature. So, but now that they're grown, it's very different. It's what we do now. We still eat out together. We try new restaurants, and we love having wine together. So it's more dining and wining with the adult kids now, which is awesome. And then with my husband, I think what we used to do on top of what the date nights, we would sometimes take time to just travel for a few days, just the two of us. I mean, the great thing is that I had my parents here, and both our parents here, so we could always leave our kids with our parents for a few days, and they're very close. So it was okay for us to take some time away and just be 2-3 days alone with each other, you know, or over a weekend and just have that romantic weekend. That is something you have to sort of, like Viola said, you have to create it, you have to be intentional about it, Viola?
Yeah.
It's something you create
intentional.
for... Yeah, intentional.
And even you can even be intentional what you're going to talk about on those date nights.
Yeah.
Sometimes
That's right.
we would have certain questions that we would want to talk through that are actually for relationship building. And you can find those things online on like questions that you ask your husband to get to know each other better. Because honestly, like you can lose the touch with your husband if you don't ask questions or if you don't ask things that you maybe don't know about them really. Like the more you know about each other, I think the more your love can grow. And if we don't deliberately spend time together and ask questions and are actually interested in each other, then this can just drift apart, and at some point you don't know each other anymore, right?
We keep evolving, especially if you're both
Absolutely.
driven people and you always want to be better. Like just as friends could drift apart, like all the more, I guess, it makes a lot of sense that you need to have those constant, like consistency in that relationship building, because
Intentional.
and be intentional, because you'll be growing, he'll be growing, you'll be learning different things, and I guess there's always something new. Like what I notice is when I take on something new or I try something new, it produces kind of like, I don't know, like a new side of me that I didn't know I had the capacity for, or that I would feel this way, and I wouldn't even realize that I actually gone through that process until I actually spend time with friends or that are close with me or family, and we actually talk about it and share about it, and they're like, oh wow, actually this new activity did that to me. It improved me, it changed me. For sometimes it actually, well, certain things might have a negative impact, right? And that's also the time where we could actually share about those. Like I loved how you started when you read the intro to your book, that roller coaster in life, right? And
Speaking about the book, do you think we could see a few pages of it?
Yeah.
I mean, right now it's still in ebook shape, right?
Yes, it's in ebook
maybe
shape.
our audience hasn't actually understood that yet. We haven't really mentioned it. So right now it's still an ebook.
Yes.
So you can actually you can order it online, and it will be an ebook format. But in the future, you're planning to also
Print it out.
print it.
Yeah,
out.
I'm excited about it. So
But
there's
you
still
don't,
some
you
finishing
don't have
touches.
to wait for it. It's really great. So
We just want to take a peek.
Yeah, sure.
The design, the beautiful one.
Because you were using the word evolve, right, JJ? And I think that's what we have to keep in mind, because our family will evolve. Children will go from toddlers to becoming elementary kids, and then becoming teens, and then all of a sudden they're out of the house and you're empty nesters. So I think it's a constant coming together and sort of with the evolving, adjusting again, and that's not easy. And I think that's where sometimes the roller coaster rides, because and then there's circumstances, but you grow and you evolve, and that's a beautiful thing. So I think we shouldn't be afraid if there are rocky moments in a family, right, Viola? Because you never know the beauty that comes out of it. It's just coming together, discussing it, like you said, taking time out, and then as a family, just evolving into this new change that's happening, And I think growth is beautiful. It's something absolutely beautiful.
I can really see that it resonates in your life, because you resonate that love that you spoke about, that you want to translate in your family, and I really respect the inner work and the journey that you've actually gone through, and I look forward to be invited to view your beautiful home. I'm so curious.
Please come. We have to plan, and I'm coming to your house.
we can bring cheese.
And wine.
Okay, so I can show you a little bit.
So how long was the process of you? 2 years.
About 2 years. Can you see, JJ?
Yes, I can.
So actually it starts here. So
House.
yeah, so that's why it's called Journey of the Home, and then you kind of go. So it's still in process.
Wow.
And so I love libraries.
Yeah,
I love books.
one of my
Yeah.
dreams is to have
So
library.
It's the signature of my interior. Like every project I do now at this stage as a consultant is always, there needs to be a library incorporated, whether it's small or yeah. So this book is dedicated to my children, my husband, and so that's my husband and me and friend.
So chic.
Yeah, so there's actually two
so
parts.
cool.
Yeah, there's two parts. There's my personal journey, and then there's the journey through the home. So what then? And then let me just. So this is the introduction. Yeah, and that's the.
Oh wow!
So you see the European and the Asian, right? The combination, yeah. This represents journey. Like it's like a river, it's flowing, right? Yeah. So then I talk about how I have, come from the German background, but also and then what I love in interiors. I love the nature.
This is the view from your balcony. Is it?
Yeah, I'm an outdoors girl, so
Chinese calligraphy.
I love. Yeah, actually, this calligraphy is beautiful because it talks about peace and harmony. Yeah, and yeah, so
everything has a meaning in a way, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything has a meaning. Yeah, even this. So that's our dog. That's my son's dog. So
did you purposely curate all this? You look through it, finding one by one to fill in your house? Or?
I think it was a process of I think we had the basics when we, but then every time you kind of add yeah.
You add an element from your
Yes.
journey, from your trip, or
Yes.
you evolve somehow, you
Yeah.
acquire new things.
Yeah. So because I think every item, because when we travel, I love to buy something, and then when I put it in our home, it reminds me of, oh, that was when we traveled as a family there, and you have the memory, right? So, so that, and then, so I have a lot of tips, quotes as well. So that's the story of how I started the business, right? I talk about that and how it evolved. And it has that signature of love. If you look at the book, it's everywhere.
So Dewi, how can people buy this book right now?
So once it's ready to be printed, I think you can follow. I'm relaunching the Insta page.
Which is
Ruma.
It's Ruma_living by Dewi Joesoef.
Ruma with RUMA _living, right? So you can follow that on Instagram. And then, so you will probably update on how to, once it's ready to buy the ebook, and then once it's ready to buy the actual
Printed one.
sofa table book. So just follow her. And I guess on your Insta page, you're also going to have some sneak peeks into the book, right? And the
a
values
little bit,
behind
not
it.
too much, so you get excited about the actual book. This is a project I did, an apartment.
This is what we were talking in balancing the family and work, make family your priority.
Yes. So I have those tips and
How to manage that.
we also do outdoor furniture, so that's a bar we did. Yeah, it's still not 100%, but you see here that's the European again with the Asian.
So beautiful.
Thank you for letting us have a peek.
There's still a lot more, so.
I look forward to buying your book.
Yes, me too.
Yay, I can't wait. Tell your friends,
Yes.
And I think it's not only about the pictures and the design, it's really about the story. And the inspiration that you are trying to tell people as well, the story of your life. On how you've gone through the roller coaster you mentioned, becoming a woman like you at this moment in life. Which is, I think that is most powerful story. How to create love at your home, right?
Yeah, I also can't wait to read it. I don't just want to see the pictures, but I also want to see the pictures.
Because I also want to see the beautiful things and thinking, oh, maybe we can buy this and we can put this in our home. But it was really, really good. I think it's really inspiring.
Thank you, Regina.
And this talk really inspired me as well to know when I go home to really work on the relationship with my husband.
Yeah, because
and put
I
all the
think-
effort in because I think I can spend money on the interior design, and that's something that we could probably do, and it's nice, but if I really want to have a good home for my family and for the people who come, I really have to work on my relationships. And it just reminded me to focus on that again and keep working on this, because relationships are always evolving, as we said, right? And there's not a point that you've reached where you're like, oh, I've done enough work on this. I can stop now. Only with the interior design in the house you could do, like you're done with the project, but building relationships and building a home is a never-ending project, and it's worth so much more than any furniture that you could ever buy, right? And so, thank you for that talk. It was really inspiring. Thank you,
for
Dewi.
having me.
It's our pleasure having you.
Yes.
And thank you so much. I want to raise
Cheers.
a toast to love, life, and love.
Yes.
And
Love
success
and
for
live
you and your
life.
book.
Success for
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you, Viola.
yes.
Thank you for having me.
You.
And thank you for this beautiful spread again.
Yeah.
It shows so much love.
It tastes like a lot of love.
To our audience, Once again, as always, we send you a lot of love and light. And today we spoke so much about what are actually the important elements that go inside a home. And we really hope that we've triggered some thoughts within you, and that you would, carry these conversations and these precious tidbits that we've shared today into your home, and wishing you all be able to create that home that you desire. And till next time, thank you for being with us at the Powder Room.
Yes, and please don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll always be updated about our latest talks. And please leave the comments below, and maybe share stories that you have or thoughts that you have while you were watching this talk show. And you can also follow us on our Instagram, which is @thepowderroomtalk, and also the same on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining in today.
So see you next time.
See you next time.
Stay tuned with us. Bye-bye.
Bye.